Hey guys, this is Mr. Breen, and in this video I'll be talking about how to graph the cost and revenue curves for monopolistically competitive firms. As usual for our firms, we have a marginal cost curve that slopes down a little bit and then up, and then we have an average total cost curve that looks like a parabola and meets the marginal cost curve at its vertex. Now, monopolistically competitive firms have competitors, but no one makes exactly what they do. So we can go ahead and put the demand for their product right on this graph. Now, much like monopolistic firms, monopolistically competitive firms can charge whatever they want for their good because, again, they have no other firms producing exactly what they produce. But also like monopolistic firms, they're still constrained by the demand curve. If they want to sell more, they're going to have to lower the price. All of that means that the marginal revenue curve slopes downward, and not only slopes downward, but although it starts out at the same place on the y-axis, it descends at twice the rate and hits the x-axis at half of where the demand curve does. This firm wants to produce this quantity because that's where marginal cost and marginal revenue meet. But of course, they're not going to charge this price. If they charge this price up here at the demand curve, they can still sell all of the good. Now, this firm isn't earning any profits because the price is equal to the average total cost at that quantity. Because firms can enter and exit this kind of industry easily, we have to worry about whether this is in long-run equilibrium or not. Because this firm is earning zero economic profits, this firm is in long-run equilibrium. In other words, this firm's owner has no incentive to leave the industry because there's nothing better that he could be doing, and no one else has an incentive to enter the industry because it's not better than whatever else they're currently doing. So what would it look like for this kind of firm to be in disequilibrium? Here we can see a monopolistically competitive firm that is in disequilibrium. They're earning a profit. They produce where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, and they charge up here, this price, where that quantity hits the demand curve, but at that quantity, average total cost is only that much. So what does it look like for this situation to move toward equilibrium? Well, whenever there are profits, economic profits, that means there's somebody out there who could be doing better by entering this industry. So that's exactly what happens, but we don't depict that as an increase in supply. Remember, no one is supplying exactly what this firm is supplying. Instead, this firm's demand curve will decrease as new firms start up offering alternatives. As long as some parts of the demand curve are above parts of the average total cost curve, it's going to be possible for this firm to make a profit. In long-run equilibrium, it's impossible to make a profit. So what would it look like for a monopolistically competitive firm to be in disequilibrium and earning losses? This firm is going to produce at this quantity where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, and they're going to charge a price up here where the quantity hits the demand curve. However, for this firm, at that quantity, their average total cost is all the way up here. That means that for every good this company sells, they're actually losing this much. Now we know that they actually couldn't do better by making more or by making less of this good because they're already producing where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, which is what maximizes profits. Here by maximize profits, what we really mean is minimizing losses. Now this might continue for a little while, but the situation is not going to stand in the long run. When a firm makes economic losses, maybe they're actually making accounting profits, but what this means is that somebody, maybe this firm, maybe the owner of this firm or one of the other firms in the industry, could be doing something that would make him more money. At some point, somebody's going to be leaving this industry. Now, when substitutes, when these other firms and their products are no longer available, that means the demand for everybody else's product is going to increase. As long as no part of the demand curve is above or touching the average total cost curve, there's no way for this firm to do anything but make a loss. That means that if the demand curve is below the average total cost curve, this industry can't be in equilibrium. The only way for this industry to be in equilibrium is if the demand curve is tangent to the average total cost curve. That is, if the demand curve only touches the average total cost curve at one point. Now my drawing isn't perfect, so it looks like it touches the average total cost curve at many different points, but we're just going to say it's at that point. Notice that if this is true, there's only one point at which this firm can be not earning a loss, and at that point, they can't earn a profit. So if they're going to do the best they can possibly do, they're going to, economically speaking, break even. Now we also know that the best this firm can do is to produce where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So by definition, in long-run equilibrium, that must also be the same quantity that causes price and average total cost to be the same. And furthermore, it's impossible for them to make a profit by making any more or to make a profit by making any less. In long-run equilibrium, monopolistically competitive firms don't make a profit, and they can't.